The qualifying session for the 2025 Dutch Grand Prix just took place. Let's go through how everyone performed up and down the order. This is the provisional starting grid. I'm a little bit fucked up because today morning I returned from Thailand. It was a crazy 1 week trip. Shit got fucked up. Anyway, we start with Lance Stroll. Now, some people are saying that Aston Martin managed to extract so much performance out of that car that Lance Stroll couldn't handle it. While other people are saying that Lance Stroll deliberately sabotaged his entire qualifying session and will start tomorrow in the back of the grid to have the fun of overtaking people left, right, and center, and also to give the other like mediocre drivers above him like Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen a chance to fight for the win. So I don't know what the reality is, and such is the enigma of Lance Stroll. So we'll just leave it at that. We move on. Oliver Bearman. Now I had a lot of hope of this guy, but unfortunately it seems that the Haas doesn't have any performance. The only good thing about like Oliver Bearman getting knocked out in the qualifying session in Q1, like starting P19, is that Esteban Ocon also suffered the same fate. I would be pissed if Oliver Bearman was P19 and Esteban Ocon was like P6 or something like that. But either way, I think it was in Bahrain or something like that where Oliver Bearman started P19 or P20 and finished in the points. Like I think he finished P10 in that race. So there is still hope that one of the favorite rookies, like my favorite rookie anyway, one of my favorite rookies, is going to like probably could definitely fight for the points. He needs to go ahead and put some kind of miraculous strategy. Start is gonna be difficult, but there are plenty of overtaking opportunities. A good approach will be to start and make the overtakes early, because as the races go along, like continue to unfold, the field, the gap between the two drivers, it increases, right? So you have to go aggressive at first and see what you can make out. He definitely has a couple of fresh pairs of medium compared to others, so maybe he can capitalize on that set of tires and see what pans out. Up next, we have Esteban Ocon. Now, I'm happy that he is P18. I genuinely want the worst teammate in Formula One's history deserves this kind of a fate. And yeah, it's just a beautiful thing to see that sometimes there is justice in this world and good things can still happen. That evil people, bad people get what they deserve. And it's been happening with Esteban Ocon in a lot of the races. He, like, the start of the weekend looks promising, and then come qualifying, come race, all of the hope out of his French rat bastard eyes are drained. It's just a beautiful sight to see, and this is one of the primary reasons we all love the sport. We enjoy Formula One because bad people get what they deserve. Up next, we have Nico Hulkenberg. So this guy getting knocked out in Q1 once again proves my earlier hypothesis that he cannot qualify for shit. For a moment, it looked like Nico and Gabriel both will be out in Q1, but thank God Gabriel pulled out. Otherwise, it would have made me look bad. So big shout out to Nico Hulkenberg for continually getting knocked out in qualifying in almost all of the races, even where he scored points. It shows that Nico Hulkenberg is a great driver on the race day, very aggressive, and know what he's doing, he can read the race better. Obviously, you have to consider the experience in Formula One that he has, but at the same time, he is doing himself no favors on Saturdays. In Spain, I think like he started like P15 or P16, and then in Silverstone, where he got the podium, he started P19. Here he's starting P17. This motherfucker can't qualify for shit. It could be because these older drivers, they struggle to extract that one lap performance out of these ground effect cars. We have seen this with Lewis Hamilton as well. Fernando Alonso is an exception. We have to agree at this point, but Lewis Hamilton, Nico Hulkenberg, generally older drivers, and they're just fucking it up consistently in qualifying. Nico Hulkenberg in particular in 2025 Formula 1 season. So he needs to go ahead and get his shit together, but at the same time, there is hope for him to go ahead and score some fucking points. Now, I don't know how he's gonna make it out, because he is not that aggressive at the race start. He usually is an old fox who capitalizes on other people's misfortunes. Ahead of him is Franco Colapinto, Alexander Albon, and a couple of other people, and these guys will be fighting tooth and nail. Earlier, it happened, I think, in Canada, where Franco Colapinto and Alexander Albon were having a battle of some sorts, and one or both of them ran wide, and Nico Hulkenberg just swept through. So maybe a similar kind of situation will open up tomorrow, and he is good at taking advantage of those kind of situations. I don't think in terms of pure pace, he is going to be tearing through the field. Maybe through the Alpine of Franco, but definitely not through the Williams of Alex Albon. Not around Zandvoort. That shit ain't happening. Up next, we got Franco Colapinto. Actually, a pretty good performance. So, one of the things that Flavio Briatore right now is doing right is that he is giving time to the second driver, the rookie driver in his team, to get acclimated with the car, and now he's starting to see some early results. He is just behind, not just behind, like one position behind the Alpine of his teammate, much more experienced teammate. I have not seen the lap times, but like whatever the lap times are, it's decent. You have to give him some props. He is now starting to close the gap, at least in qualifying, significantly, because earlier he would qualify like P19, P20, and Pierre Gasly will be like P7. Right now, Pierre Gasly P14, this guy P16. Things are looking better for the Argentinian Formula One fans, and those motherfuckers are very aggressive. You say some critiquing shit about Franco Colapinto because, let's be honest, guys, Franco Colapinto loves to crash. Let's just call it as it is. And when you point out certain truths, the Argentinians, they're not that fond of that, is all I'm trying to say. But right now, it seems that they have some reasons to cheer because Franco is performing well. Up next, we have Alexander Albon. Now, on the radio, there was this conversation between Albon and his race engineer where he was saying that why do we do this to ourselves? And at the time, he was P12. Obviously, after that, like he finally ended up in P15. But at the time, he got knocked out in Q2. And he said something like, not something like, his exact words were, why do we do this to ourselves? It means that these motherfuckers made a mistake and they haven't learned from the past mistake. If you make it once, it's a mistake. If you do it twice, it's a habit. And it seems like the Williams, especially the Alexander Albon side of the garage, they're very keen on getting in their own way. I guess it is in terms of setup. Earlier, there was like some car hitting issues, and now there's some setup issues. It's basically a little bit of comedy of errors. I guess you can call it that. But anyway, I don't think all hope is lost for Alexander Albon because Zandvoort is a power circuit. It's a driver circuit. So Alex can definitely slice his way through the field because ahead of him are a bunch of shit drivers. Not shit drivers per se, but Pierre Gasly, he ain't got no performance in that car. Gabriel Bortoleto stake, pound for pound, in the race stream, who you gonna bet? The stake Sauber of Gabriel Bortoleto or the Williams of Alexander Albon? Especially when the Williams is a little bit fast on the straights. And then after that, I guess he has to get a little bit of lucky because after that, things are gonna get extremely tough. We will talk about some interesting situations as we move along, but Alex Albon, all hope is not lost. You have to fight tooth and nail at this point. P15 is not the end of the world. Yes, you fucked yourself, but the first few cars ahead of you, and Yuki Tsunoda included, because Yuki is shit. It's just painful to watch him race in 2025. That's how miserable he has been. And no, it's not all Red Bull. All of the Japanese Formula One fans, they're a little bit more realistic and accepting of the truth compared to Franco Colapinto. But anyway, the point is, Alexander Albon can definitely overtake 2 to 3 cars if he's just aggressive and picks his spots. That's all I'm saying. So all hope is not lost, but it still looks very difficult to score the points because ahead of him are just tough guys. His teammate, then Kimi, Fernando Alonso, this motherfucker is a nightmare to overtake. Then both of the Racing Bulls have good race pace, Ferraris and like everybody else, but it's not as bad. It's like he is almost where the car's pace is, except that there are a bunch of outliers that he can easily overtake. Anyway, we move on. Pierre Gasly. Nothing much to say. I would have been more impressed with Pierre Gasly's performance because he's the Max Verstappen of Alpine, right? All of the points he has scored, and he is driving the car in a way that no one else can. And it's a miracle how he used to qualify in multiple races, take the car into Q3, P7, P8, something like that on the grid, fighting for points and scoring points. So that's already very impressive. P14 is still impressive. I'm not sure what he can do. I guess we will see the straight line speed because in corners, Pierre Gasly is pretty solid. His tire management has improved significantly over the past few years. But I don't think the Alpine has any kind of pace to defend on the straights. So Pierre Gasly, along with his teammate Franco Colapinto, is going to drop like a stone. I think probably to the back of the grid because there is no way, literally no way, they're going to be protecting themselves against the Sauber of Hulkenberg and the Haas's because the Haas's are quick. For some reason, they fucked up the qualifying session. They have been doing that for a few Grand Prix here and there. But yeah, Pierre Gasly, impressive performance in qualifying as per. But it means nothing. But I guess good practice, good practice of trying to extract the maximum performance out of the car because that experience is going to be handy when you're eventually fighting for the world title. That's never going to happen with Alpine, but he is definitely hopeful in his head that eventually one day he will be fighting for the world title with Alpine. Either way, we move on. Gabriel Bortoleto, great qualifying performance, one of the best rookies on the grid, and what's his fucking name? Helmut Marko must be turning in his grave. Not grave, because he's alive, but he must be regretting about what he said about Gabriel Bortoleto because he is right behind Yuki Tsunoda, who is shit. And he has good pace. He can fight. He can defend. He has defended against Max Verstappen in the Hungarian Grand Prix where Verstappen was attacking him on fresh hard tires. Gabriel, at the time, he had used mediums. And right ahead of Gabriel Bortoleto was Fernando Alonso. And an interesting thing was happening was that Gabriel Bortoleto just followed everything that Fernando did. Down to his pit stop. The lap that Fernando pitted, Gabriel came in right after that. And as you might remember from 2021, that Fernando Alonso is a beast around the Hungaroring, especially when it comes to defense. And Gabriel Bortoleto was right for just following him. And that may have helped him defend against Verstappen successfully in Hungaroring. So definitely great racetrack. I don't think it's going to be that easy to overtake him, especially if he gets DRS from Yuki Tsunoda, which, let's be honest, is going to be easy because he's shit. I also wouldn't be surprised if he pips Yuki Tsunoda and, stays behind Kimi Antonelli. I will be really happy and satisfied if Yuki Tsunoda just fucks off and drops down, and then Gabriel and Kimi will have a nice battle of their own. We'll see rookie versus rookie. But anyway, great job by Gabriel Bortoleto. I hope this guy entertains us tomorrow. So we'll see about that. Up next, we have Yuki Tsunoda, one of the shittiest drivers on Formula 1 grid. I'm just going to talk a little bit of shit about him, then I'm going to move on. There's nothing much to say about his horrendous performance. So first of all, let's focus on the positives. The first thing is that congratulations to Yuki for for not fucking it up in Q1. Let's just start with that. Credit where credit is due. He has scored a handful of points after being promoted to the dog shit of a Red Bull team. And I agree that the car is shit. I totally do agree. But in Austria, that was the straw that broke the camel's back. You can only defend the Japanese guy so much. In Austria, when you are struggling to overtake Franco Colapinto and you hit him, make a collision with him, get a 10-second penalty, finish dead last, and do the exactly same thing in the next race, I think in Silverstone, he was racing with someone, he had a collision with someone or some shit like that, he got a 10-second penalty and finished dead last. When you do this type of shit back-to-back races, or was it Belgium? I don't fucking remember. Austria and the race after that, I guess it was Belgium. And he just finished back-to-back last with a 10-second penalty stamped on top of And after that, it becomes very difficult to defend Yuki Tsunoda. And the only reason why he still has a Formula One seat is because Japanese people are very honorable. Honda promised Yuki, despite how shit he is, a ride in Formula One, and they have kept their word. And now that they have decided to part ways, Yuki Tsunoda and Honda, thank God for that, Red Bull is not obligated to run this idiot. And finally, we'll have Arvid Lindblad. So I guess we'll see how that happens. Up next, we have Andrea Kimi Antonelli. So he fucked up again in qualifying, which is, I guess, a little bit normal because 18 years old, still going to skill and giving those high school exams. I don't know why. You're a Formula One driver. You made it. The whole point of life is to get out of the rat race. For some fucking reason, this guy is still going to schools and giving exams, ladies and gentlemen. Either way, he needed to get something back, and I guess P11 is not that bad place to start considering how windy it was and how almost every driver was struggling to find some grip. Especially if you remember the practice sessions, almost everyone just went off here and there. So I guess in a way, Kimi Antonelli, not too bad. P11, definitely on the board to score some fucking points because I think he is faster than Fernando and Carlos. So that's two positions. All he has to do is just time the DRS right, just get closer and make the overtake. I think he can definitely do that. He has it in him. It'll be fun if the youngest driver on the grid overtakes the oldest driver on the grid after a great battle of a couple of laps. I think it's going to be fun. But yeah, nothing lost for Kimi Antonelli. Some people might be too hard on him, but he has done really well in P11. And now, like in the upcoming days, not in the upcoming days, like tomorrow we will see what he can do. I think I can easily predict a top 8 finish for Andrea Kimi Antonelli. We move on. Fernando Alonso. He's going to score some points. That's my straight up prediction. Now we're transitioning a little bit to the prediction spot. Because right now we are in the fun situation. We are in the top 10. And right now I want to make some predictions. So Kimi Antonelli, top 8. Fernando Alonso definitely scoring some fucking points. Which means one of the guys in the top 10 is going to lose out. So it's probably going to be Isaac Hadjar because he's unlucky. He's going to run over some curb and damage his floor. And he's going to drop like a stone in a lake. So that's what's going to happen. So, yeah. Now, Fernando Alonso, he's definitely scoring some points because he's starting in P10. There is no way he's going to let this opportunity go. And it seems like the Aston Martin have found some race pace since the last couple of Grand Prix, especially from Hungaroring. In Hungaroring, they were very nice. They had good performance in qualifying. And in race, they were like so-and-so. They were slightly slower, but it was difficult to overtake in Hungaroring anyway. So that's one of the main reasons why Fernando and Lance, both of them, finished in the points in the previous race, the race before the summer break. It's going to be slightly difficult to do that. But I guess we will see. Like maybe the two Spaniards will definitely fight. And then Liam Lawson and Fernando Alonso could have a battle. So that's surely is going to happen. Liam and Fernando had a spat in Austin 2024. And I hope it gets reignited. Up next, we move on. Carlos Sainz, we have to do this thing quickly. As you can see it from my face, I'm tired as fuck. I haven't slept properly in the last 2 days. I'm just going to zip through the remaining ones. I apologize for it. And then I'm going to go to bed. So Carlos Sainz up next. Let's talk a little bit about the smooth operator. Great performance as usual. He said it in one of the interviews earlier that whenever he sits in the car, he immediately finds the pace. I guess that was true today. And also another thing, his experience paid off. He now can deal with the windy situations, with the gusty situations. But either way, I think the race execution is going to matter more if he finds the good strategy, the aggressive strategy. But I don't know how many soft tires he has left, so I think he will have to go medium and hard, or soft and medium and hard, like whatever it is if it's a two-stop. So Carlos Sainz, I'm predicting, I would say P9, P10, something like that. He's going to finish in the points. The Williams has pace, not so much pace to tear through the field, but definitely enough to defend against like like obviously the Alpines are not going to be a threat, but he can definitely defend himself against the Yuki Tsunoda, who is shit, and Gabriel Bortoleto, who doesn't have as much pace as the like the Williams, and also Gabriel will be under pressure from Alexander Albon. So P9, P10, that sort of performance. Now Liam Lawson, I think he's going to finish in the top 5. That's my prediction about Liam Lawson. The reason being, he's very good at race execution, and he had his first Formula One race in Zandvoort 2023, where Daniel Ricciardo broke his wrist. He jumped in the middle of the race weekend and still had a decent enough performance. I think he finished ahead of Yuki Tsunoda, if I'm not wrong. So think about it. In the middle of the race weekend, he gets a call that, hey, Daniel Ricciardo, that guy we are about to fire, has broken his wrist. You gotta come in and drive for us. He's like, no problem. And he smokes Yuki Tsunoda. Not smokes, but he finishes ahead of Yuki Tsunoda. That's how good Liam Lawson is around Zandvoort executing the race. Top 5 finish. Up next, Lewis Hamilton. I am actually impressed by Lewis Hamilton's performance, considering how not horrible, but I would say lackluster, the first half of the season went for him. If you remember, Hungaroring and the race before that, what was that? Spa. Those two were not good for Lewis Hamilton, especially Spa, where he had his first ever spin in Formula One because Ferrari were running a new suspension upgrade. And then in Hungaroring, where Charles Leclerc was in pole, Lewis Hamilton was like fucking P12. He fucked up the qualifying runs, both of them. But now, I think in the summer break, he came back, he's recharged. In the the beginning of the weekend, in the interviews, he was saying like, I am just now going to focus on enjoying racing, which is a good mindset to go ahead. Because nothing is lost. You are still the most successful driver in Formula One. You're driving for the most successful team in Formula One, or a team that used to be successful in Formula One, because I don't think Ferrari ever are going to be returning to the win column consistently. There are going to be a few wins here and there. This is motor racing, so crazy things happen. But I genuinely don't believe Ferrari ever, are going to fight for championships. They're just going to rest on their past accolades, and that's that. But regardless, great job by Lewis Hamilton. And the most important thing is that now he has closed the gap to Charles Leclerc. He is like half a tenth behind Charles Leclerc in the qualifying run, which is good if you consider it objectively. Half a tenth around Zandvoort, high power circuit, driver's circuit, good enough. And the thing is, it gotta suck a little bit for Lewis, because Charles was slightly behind Lewis for the entire weekend up until that moment in the qualifying session. So I guess that's going to sting a little bit for Lewis. But overall, he has found his mojo back. He has found his headspace. And right now, he has closed the gap, at least in qualifying, to Charles Leclerc. We move on. Charles Leclerc. And prediction for Lewis Hamilton. I think same, P7. I don't think he's going to finish anywhere else. He has finished P7 in the 2025 season a bunch of times, so it's going to happen again. Charles Leclerc, P6, calling it right now. And let's talk a little bit about Charles Leclerc. Great performance in qualifying, in Hungaroring that was. This is just shit. Perhaps Ferrari fucked up something. They changed something in the car. And this is the problem with Ferrari that I don't understand. Whenever things are working well, they have a fever, they get a disease, they get a fit, and they have this desire to fuck things up. They're very good at getting in their own way and ruining things. So the performance drop in qualifying sessions from Hungaroring to Zandvoort, impressive as usual. You got pipped by two teams now. Mercedes, Racing Bulls. Liam Lawson is slightly less shit, not like less shit, but like he's shittier compared to Isaac Hadjar in qualifying. Hadjar has good qualifying and decent race pace, and Liam Lawson is shit at qualifying and has great race pace. That's why Liam Lawson is behind both of the Ferraris. If Liam was good at qualifying and he gets his shit together like a man, he would have been ahead of both of the Ferraris. Let's just be honest about that. So Charles Leclerc, yeah, I mean, he's an idiot for staying with Ferrari at this point. He needed to leave, I think, like 2 years ago. Like that's basically it. In 2023, he should have left Ferrari. I don't know why the fuck this guy is still at Ferrari. What's gonna happen is one day he's gonna wake up, 40 years of fucking age, a lot of pole positions, only a few of them converted to race wins, and yeah, just talks of potential. Feel good narratives. That's going to be highlight of Charles Leclerc's career, unfortunately. The sport is brutal. We move on. George Russell. Oh my god, I have to wrap this thing quickly. So George Russell did really good, but not good enough. That was the most generic statement I said about anyone's performance. But the thing is, George Russell did a great performance. Top 5 finish for him as well. He's Mr. Consistent, maybe P6 or something like that at worst. But usually, George Russell is the kind of guy who maximizes the performance. I don't know how much is the race-based comparison between Russell and Verstappen, but I think he is definitely faster than the Racing Bulls. So he's going to have a battle. We are going to see a battle. Ladies and gentlemen, everybody stop what you are doing. We are going to see a battle between George Russell and Max Verstappen tomorrow in the Dutch Grand Prix. If that doesn't give you a hard-on, I don't know what does. You're probably gay if you're not excited about that. So that's going to happen because, Isaac Hadjar is going to fuck off the way. There's no way he can keep up with the straight line speed and normal pace advantage, handling and everything of the Mercedes. So Russell versus Verstappen tomorrow on the board. Maybe they'll crash, so I cannot make any kind of realistic prediction. But based on history, George Russell top 5 or top 6 finish. We move on. Isaac Hadjar P5. Oh, no, sorry. I predicted about Isaac Hadjar. He's going to finish outside of the points. Great qualifying so far. I think this is his best qualifying result in the entirety of his Formula 1 career. 2025, his debut season. So great performance by Isaac Hadjar, but he's unlucky when it comes to race. While battling Russell and Verstappen, I think these three guys, he's going to lose out. Maybe run wide, damage the front wing, or damage the floor of the car, and then he's not going to have good enough performance. He will be a sitting duck, and he will, finish way outside of the points. Maybe P11, just to add some salt to his injury. Up next, we have Max Verstappen. Now, what Max Verstappen can hope for the best in tomorrow's Dutch Grand Prix? The weather forecast says that it probably can rain, but if it doesn't rain, then the best he can hope is P3. Because both of the McLarens are going to take off. Even if Max Verstappen manages to overtake Lando Norris or whatever, it's going to be a matter of time before the McLarens ahead of him are going to overtake him back again in the DRS zones right in turn 1. It's going to happen. So the best he can hope for is P3. So that's what I'm predicting. Max Verstappen on podium, Zandvoort, Dutch Grand Prix 2025. We move on. Lando Norris, Oscar Piastri. I'm going to combine this into McLaren because they are together. So fine margins between both. For a moment, it looked like Lando Norris had the advantage of getting on pole position. But Oscar Piastri, as I mentioned in many of my previous videos, Oscar Piastri is pretty good at driver circuits. Tracks like Imola, tracks like Bahrain, tracks like Zandvoort, Belgium. These are the tracks in which Oscar Piastri excels, because these are the driver circuits which give the freedom to the driver to find their own racing line around the track. Like a bit of dynamic thinking. Lando Norris has his advantage in mathematical tracks like Singapore, like Monaco, where there's basically one ideal racing line, and the closer you stick to that ideal racing line, you will have good performance. So Zandvoort was a critical and interesting case because last year Lando Norris won here and he was dominant in Zandvoort. And in all of the 3 practice sessions, it looked like Lando had the upper hand. But yeah, Oscar Piastri returned back by focusing on his strengths and took pole position from Lando. And when I say focusing on his strengths, this is what he said in the post-qualifying interview. He said that instead of focusing on the areas that I'm not good at, I try to find more performance in the areas that I am good at. And that eventually gave the Australian, the championship leader, the pole position. And I think he's going to win. Nobody's going to take that away from him. He's going to increase the gap in the championship standings, but it's still going to be close. It doesn't really matter. Anyway, that's all the story. Oscar Piastri is going to win. Max Verstappen on the podium. Isaac Hadjar is going to damage his car and going to drop down. Happy that Esteban Ocon is P18. Lance Stroll is just here for fuck's sake. And Pierre Gasly's qualifying performance doesn't matter. Yuki Tsunoda deserves to get fired. Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.